As the crisis at the southern border worsens, the president has taken bold action against Mexico, implementing a first round of tariffs on all goods imported through the border to begin on June 10th. My next guest says Mexico exports illegal aliens, and it's time to tax them. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro joins me now, assistant to the president for trade and manufacturing policy. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Navarro.
Good evening, Judge. And before we start, I just want to, from the White House and President Trump, our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Virginia Beach in this time of trouble. As he said in his tweet, the federal government will do whatever we can to help them.
Well, certainly they are entitled to it and entitled to our prayers and our thoughts. But, you know, I want to start the segment right now on what kind of led to this idea of tariffs on the imports. I understand that the president for a time had tried a lot of different diplomatic kind of efforts. Number one was holding asylum seekers, having Mexico hold asylum seekers there. He was talking about Mexico holding people and not letting them come over the border, monitoring those people. There were all kinds of discussions that were had. And now, all of a sudden, what we have is the president threatening an escalation of tariffs beginning on June 10th with a 5%. And then going to, I believe, October with up to 25%. How did we get there?
Well, what we've got is an industry in Mexico that's been growing for decades. Mexico has basically been abusing this country for decades with the export of illegal aliens and drugs. And it's become a multi-billion-dollar industry. We have essentially a conveyor belt that runs from the southern border of Mexico up to our border, that on any given day, Judge, there's over 100,000 illegal aliens transiting along that conveyor belt. Trucks, buses, trains, a series of checkpoints where government officials make money off corruption, where they extract the bite or the mordida from them. And Congress has refused to act. The Mexicans agreed to taking some of these asylum seekers, but they've reneged on that because they're only taking a small handful. And right now, the U.S. is bearing the entire burden of this national emergency. It's a threat to our national security and our economy. And this is how we got to that. What we need to do is we need to shift the cost burden to Mexico so that they will do what we are asking them to do. And it's a three-part plan, Judge. We can walk through if you like.
Well, but let me ask you this. When you say you want to shift the burden to Mexico, I'm going to ask you to listen to some sound from Chuck Grassley and those who are of the ilk who believe that they're shifting the burden instead to the consumer. Take a listen to Chuck Grassley. Oh, it's a quote. Okay. Trade policy and border security are separate issues. This is a misuse of presidential tariff authority and counter to congressional intent. Now, given that Chuck Grassley is saying that, and, you know, he's pretty conservative, how do you guys fight that?
Well, we agree that this issue with Mexico is strictly an immigration issue and a national security issue. Tariffs are an appropriate response within the context of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, and that's the authority upon which we're using that. The tariffs here are a regulatory response to a crisis on our border, Judge, and what this will do is it will force the Mexicans to bear the costs of not doing what they should be doing, which is handling this crisis. They will bear the cost with their producers in terms of being forced to lower their prices, experience lower profits, fewer jobs there. And instead, what they're doing now is making billions of dollars off this trade in illegal aliens and drugs. It seems to be a partnership in some sense between the government and these transnational drug cartels. The biggest thing we need, Judge, is for them to take the asylum seekers on their own soil for two reasons. One is that once the people in Central America realize they can't come here and they'll be in Mexico, they won't be coming here. And number two, Mexico actually has tougher laws so that they can repatriate these illegal aliens back to Central America.
Okay.
So this is a key part.
All right, Peter, 15 seconds. Is this a maneuver by the White House to try to get some of the manufacturing of cars, manufacturing back to the United States?
Zero. No, that's not the purpose of this. This is a national security response to a horrible crisis. We've got 80,000 people in custody.
Couldn't agree more, Peter.
And we're at the brim.
All right. Peter Navarro, thank you so much for being with us.